Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm excited to talk about today's topic. It's something that's very important to me, as it should be to everyone. Now I'm going to give it from a African American family perspective. So trust me, this video is not to offend anyone or to upset anyone in any way. It's just talking from my experiences as an African American man, and what I see are the challenges financially for not only everyone, but for me and my family and where I come from and the people and the peers that I grew up with. Um, First of all, I'm very thankful because my mom, as a single African American woman, raised me in a middle class environment and gave me a lot of advantages that brought me where I am today, and I'm thankful for that. Her being part of that baby boomer generation, where we call them the money makers, certainly opened a segue, for Generation X and Y and the 80s kids and the 90s kids to be successful if they chose to take that route. The one thing I think that was missing was how to manage money. I don't ever remember, my mom, who I love and adore, ever showing me how to manage money. I don't even remember it being discussed in my entire family unit on how to manage money. I think the most I could say I saw was how to physically write out a check. It's never been much more than that. So as I grew up and gotten older and into adulthood, I learned that I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared on how to spend. I wasn't prepared on what to save, and I came along on a lot of hard times because of that. Because I learned how to manage money through the trial and error method of falling and getting bad credit and repairing credit and getting bad credit again and repairing it again and finally getting to a point where I was on the upside of financial wellness. And a lot of that I don't blame my mom or upbringing or anything, but I think that discussion just isn't held in a lot of African American households. I think we discuss everything but that. I've heard all the discussions of I'm going to buy a house or I'm going to buy this car or I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, but nobody ever discusses how am I going to manage my finances? How am I going to balance uh, you know you know paying bills and paying off debt if you have it, and also building for the future for a home or a condo or an apartment or a vacation or whatever. How am I going to balance having different revenue streams come in to help support what I want to do? Or how am I going to balance, if you're married and you want to have a family and that person may want to stay home or work part-time or have a full-time career or whatever you guys decide, how are you going to build that dynamic? None of that was ever discussed when I grew up. So learning that on the fly was very difficult. I think, and I can't speak for other households, but I think for African Americans, I think the conversation and the context of that conversation, which was too much geared towards the flashiness, meaning it was so much about the latest car, the latest sneakers, the latest clothes. It was never about how are you going to build independence financially. And you see that. I saw it not only in friends and peers when I was a kid, I saw it even today, 20 plus years later. You see it. You see some of these individuals still struggling with the dynamics of how to be financially well off. Unfortunately, I've seen people lose homes. I've seen people lose apartments. I've seen people lose condos. I've seen people lose cars. I've seen all these things happen. And it's happened over and over again to create a downward spiral trend. So how do we get out of this? How do we do that? All these educational tools that are out there for us, are we taking advantage of that? Are we sitting down when you talk about the new Jordans or the new car or whatever you're trying to do or how much money you supposedly have in the bank? Are you discussing with your family, how can we make this move together? Not together as far as partnership, but sharing your knowledge and the mistakes you've made and saying, hey, this is how I did it. Maybe you can try this. Maybe this will work for you and your family, which is why I'm going to try this new envelope stuffing challenge, which I think is a great idea for people to get involved in. I usually do my finances primarily online and through bank accounts, but I think it's a great way to show how to have strong saving goals and strong saving techniques and habits, because you're going to need that. The economy is changing, and it's not changing for the better. It's becoming more challenging for everybody involved. If you look at the entertainment industry, when you start seeing so many commercials done by celebrities that you've never seen before, you can tell that everybody's feeling the pinch financially. So you have to have some sort of plan. I remember growing up And my mom always telling me, if you get married and you have a family, live like you're living for one. You could have two incomes come in, but live like you're living off of one income, because what that does is that allows some flexibility with that second income to go into savings plans, to go into building for a house, housing projects, things like that, to live more comfortable. And you want to be able to do that because that's so important. Secondly, as men, and I will say this in general, men go through it, African American men per se go through it. You have to watch your dollar. You have to pay close attention to your coin. And I say that seriously because we've all fallen to that. When you meet a significant other, pay attention to who you are dating. Pay attention to who you are involving yourself with. Don't get involved with someone who is only out for what you can do for them financially. I don't care how good the person looks. I don't care how good she is in bed. I don't care how good she is for show or on your arm. Because at the end of the day, you have to be secure in knowing that you can pay your bills, whether you are with someone or whether you are not. If you cannot pay your bills, that makes you worse off, not only for you, but worse off for her. Pay attention, because this is a very serious matter that a lot of men fall for. I'm going to give you the example here. Let's say person A makes $30,000-$40,000 a year, which isn't a lot of money in today's time. Person B makes $50,000-$60,000 a year. But person B tends to spend their money out at a lot of restaurants. They tend to go out. They tend to spend money on high price sneakers. They spend money, all of this money. But person A tends to have that house or that condo, that car that's paid off. That means person A, even though they make less, they're watching how their money is spent. They're watching every dollar. They're not going out there showboating. They're not trying to impress people. They're living within their means instead of beyond it. That's why a lot of times you'll see people that make less own homes versus a person that makes more that doesn't. That's everybody has seen that. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows somebody that's in that situation. And it's all about what you do with your money. Now, granted, there's a standard. You do have to make above the poverty line in order to buy anything. But if you do and you're not getting there, you have to look closely at your finances as to why. I had to do that. As I'm planning on becoming a homeowner in 2022, I had to look very closely at my finances, what I had to pay off, what I had to invest in, how I had to save. And that came with a cost. That came with being able to say no to people. That came with being able to say no to gatherings. That came with being able to say no for many years prior ago to people who wanted to hang out with me. I had to learn very quickly that some of the people that wanted to be around me didn't want to be around me for the company. It was because of, what they felt like they could get financially or what they felt like they could get from me. And I had to learn that, and I had to take that seriously. And I learned to separate myself from those people. It burnt friendships. It burnt family relationships at times. But I had to do what I had to do, which was best for me. Because at the end of the day, I knew that I was not going to attain any of the goals that I wanted if I would have kept going down the track of, okay, I'm going to hang with you, or I'm going to be here, I'm going to spend this excess money. No, that's taken away from my goal. My priority, especially to date, is it's me, it's my fiance, and to make sure, mom is okay. And because that's my circle, that's the most important thing, to me. Anything outside of that, I don't pay close attention to, because that's not my circle. That's the way I personally care. I can't tell you to care it that way. I'm not, advising anybody to care it that way. But for me, that's sort of how I've always lived my life. You want to pay close attention to yourself and how you spend your money. That allows you to take care of your family first. Then if you want to help somebody, you can, but make sure that you're straight, your situation is straight. So, paying close attention to your finances, making sure that you're okay financially, and paying close attention into what's being taken from you. Like, for instance, when you buy a car, are you comfortable paying a $500 or $600 car payment because that car is a Lexus or that car is a Mercedes? Or would you rather take a lower payment in order to have more money in the bank? You know what I mean? We're at an age where who are you trying to impress, seriously? So you got to pay close attention to what you're investing in. Stay tuned for my next video. It's going to be really cool, really interesting. I'm going to do it today, and I'm excited to share that with you. It's another story time, which I'm excited to share. So Everybody have a blessed day. Peace.